Hi everyone, so this is part 1 of my review of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Okay, so you might recall, some of you, that I was very impressed with Deathly Hallows Part 1. It was the most secure and satisfied and content I'd ever felt in a Harry Potter film adaptation when I left that cinema. I was feeling like finally they were righting past wrongs and on the right track and giving it the consideration and the tone and atmosphere that it really deserved, and yeah, it finally felt right for me. And yeah, so that made me hopeful for part 2, and then press releases and things began to emerge for part 2 and all the interviews, and I kept hearing the same sort of terms brought up all the time, like fast-paced and war movie and action-packed and all that kind of thing. And I'm not naive, I did expect this, because obviously they were going to take the Battle of Hogwarts and expand it to within an inch of its life and milk it for all it was worth, because that's what you do in cinema, and they're always trying to make it more cinematically appealing and all that sort of thing. And that's been, for me, their downfall in past films, because they have fantastic source material to work with, but they twist it and tweak it and manipulate it to get it to be more film-fitting. It shits me. Anyway, yes, so my expectations lowered again, and I started to get a bit fearful, but I went into part 2, the midnight screening, honestly, with hope in my heart. I wanted so much to enjoy it and to be happy. I wanted to finish this film franchise feeling content. But what else would I want to feel? And sadly that didn't happen. Yeah, I'm one of those people that wasn't happy with it. I wasn't like drastically unhappy as a whole, really. There were parts of it that I was really happy with. Things that impressed me. I still enjoyed it. I still cried bucket loads, so I'm not heartless. But there were still mistakes made that, for me, all the mistakes were kind of like tainted the overall effect and my experience of it, which made me so unhappy. I was so depressed at the end, and it wasn't for the same reason that everyone else was, that like the films had come to an end and all that kind of thing. I was just depressed because I felt like I'd just been given another slap in the face by the filmmakers, by David Yates, by Steve Kloves, by these people who've let me down a bit in the past, and I thought I'd finally could trust them. And no, I'm not trying to bring people down. I'm just saying my honest opinion. I know it's not going to change anyone's minds anyway, because 99.9% of everybody that I'm seeing on YouTube and on Tumblr and on Rotten Tomatoes, on the IMDb page, everyone's happy for the most part, from what I can tell. Everyone's using amazing and awesome and blah 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 blah. So I'm not going to change anyone's mind, so I'm just saying how I feel. Okay, so the two things that really griped me in this film were pretty much the same things that have always grabbed me. Pacing / editing and the script. Yeah, this is a non-spoilery review, so I won't go into anything too much, but I did feel that for the most part the pacing was so relentless and quick that it didn't afford us time to have the same level of emotional response to what was going on as we would be if they'd taken the time to just have some breathers somewhere. Now, perhaps it was an artistic decision to format it in that way because they wanted to create the sense of war, and war is unrelenting. War doesn't, take time out for a breather. Perhaps that was the reasoning behind that, but it still really, really lessened the effect of these really heartbreaking moments. Also, like, it was a decision on where they placed the focus as well. I understand that it was very much Harry's journey and that's what you want to follow, but we weren't given enough time with other characters, even with Ron and Hermione. I felt, like, even though part 1 was very much Harry's journey, it always has been Harry's journey, but we still got really nice moments with just Ron and Hermione as well as individuals, and we didn't get that in this one, and I felt like they were pushed to the side, but so were many other characters too. And subsequently, when things happened to those other characters, or they got to do something, I mean, even Neville or Luna or any of them, it didn't have the same ring to it, I guess, because we hadn't spent any time with them. I know that we had, like, you were only afforded so long to get through everything you had to get through, but that's another thing. I was really upset when MuggleNet released the information, it was like a few months back, saying that Deathly Hallows was part 2 was the shortest of all the films. That was when I really started to get uneasy, because, I don't know, maybe I am a Potter purist, I'm sure you can tell, and a really extreme Potterhead, and so I would happily sit through a 3-hour film, and I imagine most Potter fans would. The length of a film, if you've got really good dramatic content and, you know, you can maintain a good pace, and you've got a nice balance of things happening, like, actively and internally and all that kind of thing, then I will happily sit and watch it. I don't know what. Anyway. Sorry, I've got a huge headache right now. So pacing and editing was a big thing in terms of what they showed, what they didn't show, and how quick everything unraveled. It also, I think, probably will leave a lot of non-Potter fans very confused, but more on that in the script. In terms of what, again, what they did and did not tell you in terms of information. Now, as Potter fans, we obviously know everything, but it felt like there were tons of things being alluded to, or, like, built up towards that then weren't explained anyway, and that left a lot of gaping holes in the events that were happening because nothing was explained. Now, I know that there were so many plot holes in the past that they hadn't covered up that it was hard to rectify them all in one or two films, but still, some of what they did lead up to, they never resolved, and so why bother I just felt like there were so many loose ends that they purposely continued with and then stopped. And I couldn't understand that at all. Also in terms of scripting, something that really upset me was that they started to do what they used to do all the time and insert unnecessary, really forced humour. There was a scene in particular towards the end when it's really tense and uncomfortable and a horrible moment, and there were laughs. Like, you know, people started laughing because there were these kind of odd jokes in there, and it didn't feel like it was meant to add to the awkwardness of anything. It felt really like it was just inserted in there, just for the sake of it. And I thought, why have you done that, fools? I'm trying to think what else I want to say. I'm running out of things to say without leading to spoilers, I guess, so, and I'm talking too long anyway. But, I was unhappy for the most part with the film, and I hate saying that, I really do. I am going to see it a second time tomorrow, and I'm going to try and go in again with an open mind. I want to pay more attention to the things that made me unhappy and see if I can view them in a different light, maybe. I'm going to try and be a bit softer with my opinions afterwards. I always see the films 3 times, I'm just not sure if I could this time, but it's tradition, I do usually. I'm going to go now and try and make a part 2 of this review, because I'm losing my train of thought because my head's hurting. I hope I haven't upset or angered anybody. I'm just saying how I feel.